Hey, you made it back. Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. This is Michael Midnight with Mik Tek Studios. And today, our topic is going to be about branding. Yes, branding. This is actually something I'm kind of excited and looking forward to talking about because, well, it's something that is a little bit near and dear to my heart. I love branding things. I've worked in a limited edition bookbinding press, what's gotten me behind silk screening and just keeping in mind coloring. I've worked in print shops, being familiar with just print-ready proofs and color proofing and you name it. So anyway, let's get started. So when you are working on your logo, and this is going to be really paramount for any business, really anybody if you think about it, I want you to keep in mind a couple of real key things. And this goes back to my visual communication classes that I had. Thanks, Gephardt, if you're listening. I appreciate all your help. A logo really needs to be simple. It really needs to be straightforward, and keep in mind that this is going to have to be printed, etched, painted on all different kinds of platforms and surfaces and mediums and papers and what have you. So let me give you a great example. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Chase, the bank. Now, obviously, Chase has been going through a couple of different logo revisions and modifications of the actual font that they use for Chase, but that little hexagonal shape that they have, when you see that, you know exactly who and what that company is. Movado is another great example. Some higher end watches that when you see them, you know exactly who and what Movado is. That is the power of branding. If you ever notice, and this is what I do try to explain to a lot of my clients and potential prospects, that when you have ads, less is actually more. You actually want to test the power of your branding. Now, you do want to have some details if you're a product or a service of what it is you do if you're not that well known. But at the end of the day, open up a magazine. Take a look at the ads that catch your eye. Why do they catch your eye? What colors do they use? What shapes? What fonts? What is it about this ad? What makes you say, ooh, I want to buy that? I want that. I'm looking at that. That is the power of branding. And this is where maybe a couple of people are scratching their heads saying, well, that kind of sounds a little bit more like advertising or maybe just clever marketing rather than branding. Is that right? And the answer is, yeah, you are somewhat correct. But we're actually going to leave that topic to talk about for another day. I want to really focus in on the aspect and really the power and potential behind really great, effective branding. But it doesn't come without a good logo, marketing, that great combination. But I digress. Moving on. So I do remember when I was working with an agency, this was probably about a couple of years ago now, and they really wanted to pump out logos for clients. It was a rather new marketing startup firm. And as a designer, I will tell you that it is nearly impossible to just pump out logos on a daily basis without getting creatively fatigued or without them just looking like crap. Now, to put a little perspective into this was a company that wanted to charge $50 for a logo, and they wanted you to take an hour to do a logo. So they were really expecting a paid professional individual to pump out 8 logos a day. Now, I will tell you from experience, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to that number right now is laughing. You'd be lucky if you get one good logo out in a day. Now, that's not to say that if you're working for different clients and you want to have different creative directions, that's fine. But anyway, I'm digressing. So when you're working on branding, one major thing to really keep in mind that's going to save you a lot of headache down the road is just be mindful as to what colors you're actually using for your logo, for your branding in your style sheet, and try to limit it to 3 or less. And 3 is not just an arbitrary number. I'll tell you why I've come to this. Most companies that you will work with, this may change after the time of this recording, or maybe years in advance, but most companies will give you up to 3 colors, especially if they're similar shades. You have a white, you have a blue, you have maybe a darker blue. You might be able to get away with that. 4 seems to be the picking point where all of a sudden, if you're running a series of polos or t-shirts or what have you, 4 seems to be the additional cost, and it will jump up another $100 or so. Again, depending on your quantity, your materials, and again, your relationship with said printer. This may change. It's just a general rule of thumb that I've come to experience. So just keep that in mind. It's great if you can do just an all white logo, an all black logo on a dark polo or a white polo. People like to cheat that way to save on price. That's usually why you see that. But anything that has to go through a system like that is going to cost more. This is the same thing with vinyl wraps for vehicles. And that really also comes into play about the complexity of your design as well, not just color. Keep in mind how small the fonts are, okay? We have a variety of people that look at these things. So for example, let's take a look at Chase again, okay? Chase is a very bold blue. It's a very trusting blue. There are colors and reasons for picking those colors psychologically. Take a look at the font. It's bold, strong, respectful, honorable, almost like the guards themselves are there protecting your money. Everybody can read the Chase font. Everybody knows the Chase font. Also the Chase service mark, and I believe their blue is also a copyrighted color. But the point is that each aspect of this branding is very, very strong, very recognizable, and it resonates very well with the potential client or customer that sees this. They know what to expect, or at least hopefully so, when this image is conveyed to them in some manner, form, or medium. Another perfect example would be Nintendo, right? Everybody knows the global brand Nintendo. It's a bold red, strong, catches your attention, but also has smooth edges. So we're not bold and aggressive. We're friendly. We're inviting, we're safe. A lot of the children's toys and tables and things like that have soft, rounded edges. So not only is it bold, but we're trustworthy. We want to get your attention, but we want you and we invite you to stay. See what just happened there? Now, of those two examples, if you've noticed, they only use one or two colors. Nintendo is just one color, it's red. If you've actually noticed Microsoft has actually updated their Windows logo to be very similar in palette and tone to how Apple's is. It's a very modern color, it's a very modern feel, it's very simple. So with, for example, even my logo for Mik Tek Studios, it's a double M. Michael Midnight, Mik Tek Studios, beautiful. Now I know that if I go to etch this particular logo into, let's say I want to make metal emblems, I know there's going to be plenty of clearance for most of the elements that make up my logo. Now I have a couple of other clients that aren't really going to go in that direction or didn't really take that into consideration when designing the logo. I have one client I had done was Gas Life Records. It's a independent record label startup on the West Coast. And that's all they wanted was nothing but color. So I don't expect them to be doing anything like that t-shirt wise or anything anytime soon, because if they do, they're really going to need a serious modification of the logo setup that they have now, more like an outline of their logo rather than a plethora of colors that they already have. That will be no issue when the time comes. It's just something that you have to keep in mind as part of your branding if you do decide to make that type of choice. Now, as an interesting exercise, I actually want anybody who has a business, I want you to just, if you can, take a picture of your logo. Take a picture of your company logo or any logo you find even of interest. If you're an individual, you don't have a company, you just want to just do this as a test. I want you to take a picture and I want you to put it on the wall. And I want you to stand about, let's say, 10 feet away from that wall. I mean, even taking a picture from your phone or your tablet and just having somebody hold it 10 feet away. That works fine too as an alternative. Are you able to read everything on that logo? Can you make out what that logo is? I want you to do something even better. I want you to go to your local flea market or town hall, wherever you're going to find a lot of business cards or that you can pick up a lot of business cards, and I want you to collect, even like a networking meet and greet would be a perfect place to do that as well. And I want you to take about maybe 15 or 20 business cards. Doesn't matter what, just nothing scandalous. Now what I want you to do is lay them out on a table or pin them to a wall, and I want you to take a look, and you can reply in the comments if you want, you can email me, or just for your own edification. Which ones stand out to you? Which ones suck? You'll be surprised as to how many times I've actually done this experiment myself to see what really works. Now, a lot of my work is of bright colors and branding, they pop. Any fonts that I use, they're legible, they're readable, they're even slightly more bold than perhaps I'd like them to be. But I want to make sure that the demographic of people are going to be able to read it. It's going to be able to be embroidered properly. the more mediums that you're able to get your brand out on, easier it is for people to find you and what your brand is about. Limit the colors, have it be a style or design that you could see a mile away if it was on a billboard. And at the end of the day, just make sure that it's something that you're happy with. Because as I've changed my logos again and again over the past 10 years, it's something you're going to have to look at for a very long time. Be happy when you do. This has been Michael Midnight with Mik Tek Studios signing off. Thanks again for checking in, guys. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Email me. Show me some love. I appreciate it. See ya.